Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and you can see Mr. BoomStick is not feeling so well. I'm feeling under the weather, actually. And if I go off camera because I'm coughing my brains out, I promise I'll be back. I didn't even shave. Look at this.
Love it.
Uh, Good morning, everyone. Welcome, to today's episode. We have two very hot topics to get into, folks. This week specifically on Double Barrel Gaming has been packed with real life conversations. Obviously, today we're going to get into what is going on at 343 Industries. We have learned as early as this morning that they have lost one third of their staff. It was reported that 60 people were being laid off or moved. Thanks to Tim Dog, who reported yesterday, that number is expected to grow to 130 plus people. We have learned, thanks to Dave, that Google has announced that they are going to be letting go of 12,000 employees. This matches many of the tech industry that has been announcing these layoffs. When Microsoft, we learned early in the week how many people they were letting go, which was 11,000 people. Amazon did a removal of 10,000 earlier. They have announced that they're doing an additional 18,000. It is scary, folks. We're gonna get real on here. We're gonna be talking about what the future of Halo is. And to be honest with you, I got some behind the scenes information. And folks, it's exciting. It's exciting when you hear what some of the things that are being proposed behind the scenes for Halo and the franchise and the IP. This is something people have been asking for. I would imagine that from what we've heard from different staffers that are still at 343 Industries, Halo Infinite multiplayer isn't going anywhere anytime soon. It is going to be supported. They have announced that the scheduled seasons 3 and 4 are still coming. One of the most disappointing news pieces that I got from listening to the different outlets and the different YouTubers is that the single player campaign has been put to the side, and I am pissed. It's one of the things I was most looking forward to as a single player dude. I loved Infinite. The fact that we're not getting any more single player campaign DLC is gross, and I don't understand how Microsoft has allowed the Master Chief, the one dude, the one IP that has built this platform, to fall to the wayside and be like a secondhand IP. I don't understand it, folks. I got some thoughts, and you're gonna get it raw. Like I said, I love Microsoft. I support them. Xbox is my favorite brand, but I would be a shill if I didn't come out and give them the righteous smoke for blundering one of the most iconic IPs in gaming. How that happens? That's like watching uh, Nintendo f up Mario, or seeing Sony do injustice to, let's say, Kratos. How did this happen? But we're also going to get into Will Spencer, who is won a huge award at the New York Game Awards and has been at the brunt of some attacks from the gaming media, folks. Now, normally this is not surprising, but when you start to see big outlets like Kotaku, which is basically a rag magazine, I consider Kotaku to be like the Inquirer, where you're standing online to pay for your groceries, and it says, X person has baby with Martian, and they were abducted. That's what Kotaku is. They're a rag magazine. And one of their staffers I had words with, who blocked me, which is fine. And we will get into what he and I had to say to each other. And of course, I was politically correct, as you would imagine, and he was just a dick. Sorry. But we will get to that in a second. We have several guests that are potentially popping in, one of which is right here, right now, the best voice in the business, Crispy Bomb. What's up, brother? Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. And can I just say, my heart's with anybody that's losing their job right now. You're kind of in a situation where you don't know what's next. And, I've been there as a human being, and we all know that sucks. So, shout out to those people. Hopefully they find something that is right for them. Other than that, it's great to be here. And, we got issues that are coming out right before this show, which is quite interesting to me. Like, let's throw all the bad news out here, and then all of a sudden we're going to have a show. So I don't know how that's going to go, but I'm hoping for the best. And let's get into these topics.
Yeah, we have a lot to get into, Crispy, and I'm glad that you're here. Obviously, we missed you on prime time, but obviously you were hanging out with the family. Glad that you were able to, kind of stretch your wings a little bit. It's nice to get out every now and again.
Absolutely.
But we're gonna have you back this week, and folks, real quick, some housekeeping, if you will. Uh, on a rare Saturday, folks, tomorrow, because normally I like the weekends for me and Mrs. Boom. I get to not podcast and simply just kind of play games. Well, tomorrow I will be podcasting for 2 hours with my brother and our two very good friends, and for our annual Game of the Year podcast. It's just the four of us. It's going to be going live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, it's something we do normally every year. I think this is the 11th annual, but it's the 5th year that we're doing it live on the air, because obviously I didn't have a podcast all those years ago. But yeah, tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll throw up the advertising towards the end of the show so you guys and gals can take a look at it. It's going to be a fun show. I don't expect a lot of views, but we don't do it for the views and the clicks. We do it for us. We do it for, we do this every year. Normally we get together, but this year I had to cancel. As you can hear it in my voice, I'm unbelievably under the weather. And we'll try and get back to real life in person stuff next year. But listen, let's continue with the introductions. Web Dave, you did an interview that you're going to be putting out there. It says probably one of your favorite interviews of all time.
Yep.
How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling really, really, really good, and I can't wait for everybody to see the video I'm dropping on Monday. It is truly a very fascinating insight into a game designer's what they have to go through. It's pretty amazing. So I'm excited for that. Plus, I'm excited for today's show. Chat's already becoming lively. We've already got a few trolls in there. Was it Alex saying that Microsoft should just sell off Xbox because they're clearly damaging the industry by having Game Pass? Well, obviously he's a troll, and if he keeps that up, he's gonna be gone.
Yeah, well, listen, we don't mind the trolls. I will tell you that if you're here, look. Here's the thing: we welcome everybody in this podcast.
Yep,
everyone is welcome. But I will say this, and pardon the French: if you're a dick, you're gone. That's it. Come here, hang out, give us your opinion, but don't be a d-bag. Because if that's what you're here to do, then you're just gonna get bounced. I don't need your sub. I don't need your view. And I don't need your BS. Sorry. We're here to have fun. We're here to have adult conversations. Obviously, Microsoft letting go that many people sucks. 343 Industries, the situation over there is gross. You heard my opinion about it. I'm not going to sling any unicorns and rainbows their way. What they have done with the IP is disgusting. I'm sorry. And I'm going to get even more real momentarily. I do not give passes for things that should be done. You do not handle your IP the way it's been handled. It's embarrassing. It's a shame. It's shameful, and we're going to get into it. But let's continue the introductions. Dreadpool, you have officially crossed 800 subscribers on your channel. By the end of this show, folks, if you trust me as a podcaster, as a content creator, I implore you to go over and subscribe to Dreadpool. He's trying to get to 1K, folks. If you're not a content creator, and maybe you don't understand the correlation of how riveting it is to finally get to that 1K, to finally cross that particular threshold in any YouTuber's lifespan, it is one of the most triumphant things you can do as a creator. So I'm asking you, don't pity sub him. sub him because he does great content and he's a great member of this community that does the right thing by the people. Dreadpool, how the hell are you, brother? Welcome.
I appreciate it. Well, good morning, everyone. Yes, but I appreciate it. Yes, I left it at 798 because that is how we were coming into this morning, and it is correct. We are at 800 now. So thank you for everybody that has subbed. Again, no pity subs, please. If you like it, great. If it's not for you, then move on. I don't expect anybody to just sub just because, but I do try to give you guys a variety, like a variety show per se. So, here we are. Good morning, and we got some really good stuff to talk about, more so than just my sub count. Let's do this. I'm so excited. I'm pumped. I definitely am 180 degrees from what I was last week.
Nice. Mrs. BoomStick just handed me a bunch of holes because she's like, you got to do something about that cough. Yeah, obviously I'm annoying, so I annoy myself. So trust me.
No.
Thanks. Big shout out to Mrs. Boom. But yeah, no, obviously good stuff, Dread.
We're gonna show. Let's not have trolls. I mean, if they can share their opinion, but you got to watch how you share your opinions, because when you're actually trolling more so than you're actually showing your opinion of something, that's when you get in trouble. So
something. You're no, absolutely. Can't we just all get along?
Exactly. Share the hobby.
Yeah, no, I agree. Real quick, I got to shout out Eric the Red 06, good friend of the program. He's been here for years, here every day. He says something that's incredibly truthful. He says Microsoft has to lose their grip on the mandated overreaching policies when it comes to game development. It's ruining the flow of game development. Something has got to change. And I think you're going to start to see those changes, because I agree. I think there's some these policies that they have with temps that they bring in that they can't be hired, which is I don't know what's going on. All I know is that whatever they were doing at 343 didn't work, and it hasn't worked in years. Management obviously was at the core issue of what's been going on. Now we're starting to see, and again, folks, I don't work for 343. I'm only an outsider who's disappointed in the Halo IP. Now, granted, hold on a sec. I'm disappointed in the IP. I'm not disappointed in Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite, I gave a 10 out of 10, and I will stand on that hill and die there. Halo Infinite, both single player and multiplayer, are my favorite to date, outclassing, in my opinion, 3, which was my favorite of all time. Now, you might disagree with me, and that's fine, but I absolutely loved everything about Halo Infinite for both its multiplayer and its single player. What I have a distaste for is how this freaking game, how this IP does not have a direction. It is mind-blowing to me as an Xbox fan. This is the flagship IP, and it's handled like a second-class citizen. I don't understand, but needless to say, we were going to get into that. We have a Halo aficionado here joining us. One bad mother of Xbox era. Welcome, brother. How you feeling?
I am good, man. I'm taking a little bit of an early lunch. I'm in incognito mode because I'm officially working.
Yeah, listen. Hey, that's perfect. I'm going to be incognito momentarily because of this freaking cough.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I'm just here for I thought I had to stop by just to give a few thoughts on Halo before I head back off to work. But I do appreciate Boom. Whenever you put up the bat signal, if I'm around, I try to get there, especially with the Halo bat signal. So looks like Halo's in trouble. But no, we got a lot to talk about with that for sure.
Yeah, no, we definitely will. Fuzzy Belvedere, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. Just
you're a little salty. You're gonna drop some salt today, right? Salt?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that seem to be concerned that aren't really concerned, because any other time they're talking.
You mean
about
those concern trolls? Those people?
Yeah, it's like they should just focus on whatever platform they're favoring at this point in time, instead of the fake concern stuff. But man, just heart goes out to a lot of those that are going through a tough time right now as far as layoffs and things along those lines. But it's across the board, whether it's tech other industries, there's a lot of stuff moving and unfortunately kind of scaling back. But some topics to get into as far as not only our IPs that we love with our platform that we prefer, but also some other gaming related news. So I can't wait to get into it. Glad to be here with you guys.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, I'm going to do something a little different today, folks. We're going to kind of bounce back and forth because both topics that we're covering have a lot to do with one another, kind of mirror image each other to some extent. And because we are on limited time with OBM, I want to jump right into the Halo thing. And I want to call on him first because, like I said, he's here. He's doing us a favor. He's popping in. He's taking an early lunch to be here. And it's lunch for him is normally in midday. We're at 10 o'clock in the morning and maybe even earlier for him where he is. OBM, as much news as has poured out of Microsoft and Xbox in the last couple of days, obviously the 11,000 employees losing their jobs, that's awful. That is just terrible.
Yeah.
Like I said, we have to pause for a second and understand that what's happening in the world right now, the real life things that are happening right now that nobody wants to talk about needs to be discussed. And like I said, if you feel that that's not your bag and you want to tune out, I hear you. I'm not going to get mad at you. It's you're the listener, but I'm going to talk about it because this is my show. And I feel that it's important to, talk about gaming and get excited about gaming. But we also have to talk about real life. And one of the real life things that are happening that do, again, mirror image each other is people losing their jobs and Halo Infinite. And one of the people that knows a lot about Halo because he has a show dedicated to Halo is One Bad Mother. Now, One Bad Mother, of course, the concerned trolls like Dave was mentioning. And Fuzzy was mentioning is we're starting to see them come out the woodworks. Obviously, Halo is dead according to everyone. It's not. It's not dead. It has some problems, sure, a lot of problems, as a matter of fact. But it's not dead. There are some things that are happening behind the scenes that we're starting to hear. You and I talked about it privately, and now everyone is starting to talk about it. As a matter of fact, I have the thread. Let me see if I could find it in front of me because there's a specific Twitter account that had dropped all of this information.
Bathrobe Spartan.
Yes. And folks, one of the things that they talk about in this thread that is brilliant. It is incredibly lengthy. It is one hell of a read to see exactly what 343 Industries is going to be doing, folks. There are some talk that Halo, the IP, is going to be licensed out to other developers. And that is exciting for me because 343 has had a chance and however it got all mucked up, I don't know. But I want to see some different takes on Halo. I've been saying this for a while. In fact, a lot of people have said this. I would love to see a survival horror ODST 2, right? Like give a real dread, no pun intended, kind of a feel to Halo. A one man versus the world, in that kind of a thing. I want to see some different takes. Hell, I would even love to see a third person Halo come into fruition. I don't want to see a driving Halo game, but I would like to see a third-person shooter with Halo. OBM, the talk of the town is obviously started out with the fact that 343 Industries is losing upwards of a third of its staffers, which is over 130 people. They had 400 plus staffers at 343 Industries, and they're losing a third of that. A lot of it is due to redundancy, as we know, is the word of the week. But it's also that some people weren't delivering when it came. There was a lot of misunderstanding, let's just say, at the studio. Different views, different opinions, and it just couldn't get on the same page for a lot of reasons, and that's why we're having these issues. What are you? What do you want to reveal to the world as we have you here?
Yeah, I mean, no, I appreciate that, Boom. And the first thing I'll, say kind of on that note about the impacted employees and things like that. One thing that needs to be kind of mentioned, at least, give some credit to a lot of the people that are being impacted, that are losing their jobs or having to look for new positions. Is many of these people didn't do anything wrong. A lot of times what happens in these reorgs, if you've ever been part of them with another company and there's big sweeping, layoffs, generally, they'll target departments and things like that. Yeah. Yes, that's an opportunity to get rid of, any low performance in the process. But generally, like what you're going to see is people that, like we've already seen a lot of call outs for some of the 343 employees, for example, that, did do a good job, that people, left and did have, high regards for, that just happened to be on the team that is no longer going to be kept for now. And I think that is unfortunate when you look at like Halo Infinite and, who got targeted in this particular situation. Looks like a lot of the focus has been on the campaign team, a lot of the artwork, art people, also, and we'll probably end up finding out more specifics as we move forward. But there's some talented people in that mix, and as you mentioned, Boom, like a lot of the game that came out in the late 2021, if you take away the live service aspect, and yes, I even on our show, I point out some of the things that I do felt like were opportunities to get much better in the next iteration. I think under the circumstances, the workers, the lunch pail workers that were going in and developing, kind of trying to work through the situation, really did about as good a job as they could have under those circumstances. It was a studio, and I won't rehash the entire timeline, but it was a studio that did have a lot of changes, turbulence. They were changing the engine, and that went slower than they expected. I hear Slipspace is better today, but at the time they were in the critical moments of development. They took step backs to try to move forward, and they hadn't moved back forward yet. They were really backwards with that engine, kind of with one hand tied behind their back. They had a lot of situations with contractors, like you mentioned. And because 343 is in Redmond, and Washington has very different, so they have different laws in Washington than a lot of states. So,
Yes. Yeah.
So, for example, you can be a contractor in some states. I don't know, like Texas might be an example. You can be a contractor there. You don't have the 18-month limit. And if you work in Washington, you do. And so for 343, they have to, I've always felt like, and I think you've heard a lot of this, they need to approach that contractor situation differently than maybe somebody that's in California or has to, right? Who can keep people on longer and then maybe onboard them later. Here it's like, they get them trained up, get them to look at this engine, and then they're gone. And there was a lot of call outs to that. So, they dealt with a lot of challenges. They lost their leads. Luongo left in middle of 2019, a year and a half before.
There's been quite a bit of changeover at leadership, more than there should have been. OBM.
Yeah. Well, really, if you look at the leadership teams, and so I've had this conversation with a few people who go like, well, they just give up on 343. The thing is, the people that made the decisions almost going all the way back and for almost the last decade, you go all the way up the chain from Meyerson, some of the demands that came down on the studio that really, that the leaders kind of were forced to work within. And it's, I heard Josh Holmes, who left the studio, said, we just didn't get enough time. With Halo 5, we asked more time to fix the engine and things like that. And they continued to not really get support from the Meyerson era. And then that carried over. Unfortunately, I think they were past that point of no return, and a lot of the residue kind of carried over. And I will say that it doesn't all fall on one person, but there was people that, were picked in middle management that obviously were not right for the job. A lot of them left, mid project. So really the whole entire leadership team from the Craig demo to now is completely turned over. And so it really is not the same studio that it was a couple years ago. The thing that I think is really frustrating for a lot of fans and worth calling out is that as somebody who's played through the campaign now, 3 times, and I started my 4th playthrough. You know,
The campaign is phenomenal, dude. It's an open world Halo game. It's something I've always wanted, and they delivered, and the story is pretty freaking good.
It has like it for the sandbox, the gameplay, the gunplay. When you factor that they were asked to kind of move Halo and move it forward, modernize it a little bit, you have this tug of war with the Halo base, and anybody who's a Halo content creator knows this. You have the people that want to play Halo 3 for the rest of their lives, and that's it. And if you add anything to that sandbox, they're gonna bring the pitchforks and threaten to burn down your studio. And then you got the people that are like, no, it needs to do more. It's just not. It's things have evolved and moved on, and you need to start getting with the times. And so there's always been this fight. And I thought that this team somehow, despite the fact that the project changed midstream, that the entire architecture of like their game design changed, a few years before release, and all those challenges, and then the pandemic, they still were able to kind of thread that needle with the gameplay in the sandbox. Yep. And if there was criticisms, and I have a few, I mean, I still give it a pretty high rating, but there's still some things I'm like, you could definitely do this better next time. It was that, they didn't have enough variation of like biomes, and, maybe have some of those big water cooler moments that other older Halos have had and things like that. And I felt like they could have I felt like this team was given, just another, like, take that feedback and now you just add another layer to it. I felt like they were on the verge of doing something special. They did something really good, and I think they were on the verge of some maybe finally fulfilling that destiny of creating like a top, just a game that's revered by everybody. And so they won't get that chance. And so, like, when I say that the people that got laid off don't deserve it, I mean, a lot of the core people that were impacted in this layoff for 343 were related to the campaign. 6 months ago, they canceled their plan. So even before all the layoffs and stuff happened, they already were starting to pivot. And I think the reason is they just decided that the engagement for Halo Infinite was not what they were looking for. It wasn't driven by the Metacritic. It was driven really by the people sticking with it and playing it, and data-driven stuff Microsoft does. They decided that this wasn't it. Like, wasn't resonating the way they thought it should have and would. I felt like a lot of that was probably the residue around the live service, was really impacting people's mind share of the overall franchise, but they thought differently. And 6 months ago, they canceled the DLC. They did start up a small team that was like really in the early pre-production to figure out like where they're going to go next with the campaign. And so when the cuts came, that team was shuttered. Previous to that, they had already started moving people over to the multiplayer. If you are a fan of the live service, the irony of this whole situation is the live service probably will be good in 2023. I'm actually hearing good things about the content being ready for 3 and 4, and even them doing some really good, cool things for season 4's content. We know that they are still working with partners. And the upside, and that's the upside of this, right? Like there's two sides of this. I think for me personally, I'm frustrated because I don't think that there should have been two sides. This is Halo. This is your Mario. You really shouldn't be penny pinching with this. I don't feel like Halo should exist in a because it represents the brand of Xbox so much in the mind share of everybody else. Even though they own bigger franchises today through all their acquisitions, I think that Halo in the minds of the average person is still Xbox, right? And so like the way you treat that and the way people perceive it is going to impact, I think, the brand beyond. Like, you can't just look at it in a vacuum. Like, how much money is this thing making at this moment? It's like, if this is great, even if somebody goes on there and they're like, maybe they don't play it, or maybe they played it for 10 hours and like, that was cool, and then they move on. If they have a good feeling about that, they'll have a good feeling about your brand because of the connection between those two. If Mario was in shambles, people would think differently about Nintendo, even if they release a lot of other great games. And so that's the frustration. There is an upside because I do think the guy they brought in if you listen to previous interviews, he's kind of had this vision of expanding Halo before. Phil Spencer talked about it in 2015. He looked at Halo like Star Wars is what he mentioned, and thought it had those kinds of legs.
I'd
And so
love
there,
it.
I mean, there's a lot of potential. If you
I
get the
got
right
one for you.
studios.
I got to shout out Mr. Joanna Dark in the chat. A good friend of this program for sure. He's been a channel member for a month, so thank you so much for the generosity, my brother. He says this, and this is an amazing idea. Everborn Saga actually, literally minutes ago, just posted this, and he said, how would you feel if you got a Halo that played like Mass Effect 2, but kept the gameplay mechanics we love about the game? I think that is effing brilliant. This is the kind of out the box look. OBM, you said something minutes ago that I just have to I have to discuss, because you talked about money, like what monies are we spending for said look folks, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Say what you want about Sony and the way that they do their first party games, right? I know it's not everyone's bag. I get it. And I'm not comparing apples to oranges here. I'm making just a clear statement. God of War, the first 2018, they threw money at this thing until it was done correctly. They had finished the game and they were told, this game sucks. Go back to the drawing board. Now, I would imagine that was millions upon millions of dollars that were lost in development that did not hit. And they saw it, they recognized it, and they said, you know what, this sucks. Go back to the table. Go back and do it again. And after it was all said and done, they probably spent around $200 million on the game. But look what came out of it. This is the kind of development that must happen for Halo. Halo, the Master Chief, Cortana, pick your favorite character in the game, should not be handled like a dollar store item. I'm sorry. Okay? I'm going to keep it real here. You tune in, you subscribe to this channel because I do as such. And I'm not giving Microsoft a pass. This is a fail. This is a disgrace. And I'm not glad that people lost their jobs. Understand the commentary right now. I'm sorry that people are losing their jobs. But direction change must happen to your flagship IP. Now, why some of these people are losing their jobs, I honestly don't know. It sucks no matter what. Anyone that is affected by these layoffs, my heart goes out to them. I'm lucky. I have a pension, and in my former line of work, you only got fired if you did illegal shit, which I never did. So I survived, and I didn't get killed in the line of duty in 21 years. Thank Christ. But I'm sorry, OBM. I'm not making excuses. Again, I don't think this is the developers. I don't think this is the in the trench workers that were building this game.
Yeah.
No, they have a ridiculous amount of talent. Some of that talent lost their jobs, which is a shame.
Right.
This comes down to managerial ridiculousness. But please continue.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly what it was. You know, it was a lot of decisions, and it's people, unfortunately, that I mean, unfortunately they're not there anymore. But it's like, but you're leaving these people you hand them the bag, you hand them this mess, and I felt like, the more I understood the situation, the more I guess I appreciated the people that were in the trenches there, that were dealing with, because they're also taking out the blunt of they're feeling the blunt of the criticism when you have 343 attached to your profile on Twitter, on your LinkedIn, and people are constantly, calling out the studios as, crap. And you're actually the one cleaning up some of the stuff that was handed over. And like I said, they have apparently, improved the engine situation a lot. The people that are there were able to do some good things regardless, and set them up. Now, I think moving forward, the thing to kind of call out is if they're going to farm out the IP, Even if they did a mainline farming it out, they're not going to have to run it. They're not going to run into the same contractor situations if they're picking studios that aren't in the state that have those types of laws. And the engine is something that Bathrobe called out, is that engine is still being improved, and they're going to loan it out to other studios. So when somebody says, well, you can't have Machine Games do it because they don't know how Halo feels. Well, they're going to get all the same assets and animations and engine stuff, and basically they're going to just game design around that, right? So, and from what I understand from developers, like even those that have used Unreal, like it's not like the basics, the foundation stuff is not that like this crazy jump. It's just that the tools weren't ready for when they were at the critical point of development. That's what the real issue was. So I think there's potential, but people should still rightfully be up. I think people are right to be upset and angry at how this has been treated, and still put pressure. I mean, because I think that's the last thing I'll say, and I'll let other people speak. But I think that the story's not written. Halo's not dead, but I also wouldn't assume that everything's going to be roses from here on out. I think there's a lot of question marks right now, and again, I think Pierre's his track record seems to be a good one, and he seems like he's a good leader there. At least that's kind of like the initial feedback. But like they're gonna now do things differently. With kind of farming it out. And Microsoft, by the way, has done this a few times with farming stuff out. Like farming something out doesn't necessarily end all hope that you're going to get a high quality product. They did the same. World's Edge did that with Age of Empires. It actually reviewed really well, the last one they put out, and you're seeing the initiative do that now. We have to wait and see how that goes. But there's other this is not like a new thing. Nintendo does this with a lot of their
all
their
the time.
IPs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that can have success. The resources will be on multiplayer. I think that they can't just go status quo, though. They're going to have to get creative if they want to win people back. You can't just go like more maps and content now is not going to be enough. They're going to have to be creative, I think, if they're going to have any hope. And who knows what's going to happen? They could decide that, hey, Infinite's multiplayer after 2023, maybe this isn't the engagement isn't there. Let's just move on to something different. Halo, put the resources somewhere else. So there's a lot of things that can happen. I wouldn't automatically go I'm a pretty optimistic person, and I think there's optimistic possibilities, but I wouldn't assume those at this point, right? There's still a lot of questions we need to have answered.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, brother, I appreciate you popping in here. Dude, I gotta address a particular question, or not really, more of a statement. DRB808 in the chat. He says, according to his logic, the people at 343 Industries are losing their jobs because nobody is buying first-party games anymore. It's your fault. Every last one of you that subscribe to Game Pass. Dude, I gotta say that I don't understand the motivation behind the ridiculousness. You're welcome to hang out, and you're entitled to your opinion.
The multiplayer is free to play, dude.
The multiplayer is, thank you, Crispy Bomb. The multiplayer is free to freaking play. It literally, I guess you're a console warrior, and you kind of just lead with your heart, and you just throw it out there, and this is one of those things where you pissed into the wind, and now it's blowing back in your face. That's a ridiculous statement.
But I like to just jump on that real quick because anybody that knows anybody that's at Microsoft knows kind of like right now that's not that $70 sales is not the metric. It's engagement.
It is just not. No, it hasn't been for years, dude.
It's the engagement. It's the legs. Are people talking about it? Like you even look at some of the big things that they have in development. Like there's a lot of focus on those types of games that have long legs. Because those are the things that are going to keep driving people back to their subscription over time and their ecosystem. So it's really the Halo is failing expectations, but it's because people didn't play it as much as they wanted them to play it.
There's also a content situation You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, you know,
Yeah.
if you're gonna have a service game, folks, I don't know. I'm not in the business, so I can't really say for sure. But I would imagine that if you have a service game that you want people to keep coming back to, it can't be 18 months. You know what I'm saying? I'm being facetious here, but you have to have a steady flow of content. I'm just saying it can't be
Yeah.
one
Well,
map or 2 maps. It needs to
it's
be 6 maps.
it's more than that though. The problem is they kept on supporting Halo 5
Yeah,
multiplayer
100%.
all the
Yeah.
way through for over a year.
They're
And
still
it's like,
How
supporting the
about
master
MCC? You
the
know,
MC
well, that's
the
what I'm
Master
saying.
Chief
MCC
Collection.
that
The,
too.
the Master Chief Collection has gotten in the last year or so even more content than Halo Infinite, which is your primary game. Look, change is coming. It's about damn time. I want to see what other people are going to do. But OBM, thank you so much for being here, brother. Let me get to the super chats and some of the channel members that dropped questions into here. First of all, and I hope I don't mess up the person's name. Arav Singhania drops a very generous $3 super sticker. Thank you for the generosity. Super appreciate you being here as well. Highlander 001, who's been a channel member for 6 months, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Morning, everyone. It sucks that people lost their jobs, but changes had to be made. I have faith 343 will come through the fire a better developer." I absolutely agree. Mr. Joanna Dark, I read his comment before. Thanaros, who's been a channel member, holy crap, for 39 months. Thank you for the generosity. He says the fan base doesn't like change. If anything new is added that isn't OG like, Halo like, they will cry and whine. Well, that is very true. Jacob Novik, who's been a channel member for over a month. Thank you so much for that, Jacob. He says, if so, I want Xbox to give every Xbox studio to get a chance to work on a Halo IP, and every game is made by different studios. Yeah, I mean the way it was described in that big piece that OBM was talking about, they're going to treat it like Star Wars, and they're going to offer the IP, the licensing IP, to many developers. I mean, they're not going to give it to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. They're going to give it to people that have the chops to deliver, but they are going to license out the IP, and I think that might be good for the IP at this point. I want to see a different perspective Halo.
Yeah.
I think it's time, folks. I think if you want to build your brand from the ashes of what has happened, you're going to have to think outside the box. I'm sorry. But Jacob Novik drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Just imagine a Metal Gear Solid style Halo game made by Kojima." I like the idea, but I don't like the Kojima connection because he takes too long with his games. I like the Mass Effect ideology. You make this big open world third person RPG. Well, I mean, maybe it can even be first person RPG. Why not? But I want to see. I've been saying this, and I've heard this by many people. ODST is one of the unsung heroes of the 360 era.
Yep.
I think it's a phenomenal game. It came out of completely nowhere. It has an amazing character who still exists in Halo. At least we think that he still exists, because we don't know, because they didn't continue the DLC for Infinite. But I would like to see a survival horror-esque type of situation with like the Flood. Like you bring a horror element into like almost like an Aliens. James Cameron's Aliens type of situation with the Flood, with a ragtag group of characters that obviously will either meet their end during this adventure, or make it to the end. I think you have something potentially very special there.
Did we forget how the first one was with the Flood when we first ran into them?
That Flood was it was horrifying.
It was creepy.
Dude.
You had blood all over the place,
Mm-hmm.
and it was horrifying. I mean, I admit it. I was running around backwards trying to stay away from them as I was shooting at them.
They're launching at your face, and you're like, "Get away from me!"
but that's the way. You know what I mean? Bring it back to that, but bring it to today's standards. I mean, that's what we want. And they've, even when they redid the anniversary edition, they took all that away. You don't have the blood all over the floor, like creepy, like that atmosphere. You lost it. but bring
Shame.
that back. This
Yeah.
is what I've talked about, expanding the lore in many different ways. This is one way. We were talking, even I don't know, Grand Theft Halo, whatever. Do your different things. That's why when they came out with the RTS for Halo, and they said, hey, let's go ahead and go back to the original, what we were going to make. That was great. A lot of people loved it. It wasn't for everybody, and none of this stuff will be for everybody. But you expand the lore, you get more people interested in it. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. No, listen, we're gonna. This is gonna be a very different type of Breakfast with Boom because, like I said, we have two very, very big things happening. I do want to get into some knuckleheadisms with a particular journalist who I feel is just giant POS. I'm sorry, Riskett isn't here to talk about it. Let me get to that in a second, and then we're gonna come back to Halo because, like I said, this is gonna be a little bit different. It's usually I like nice structured podcast. This one is going to be a little bit like a battle royale, if you will, like in the old WWF days, where people are just flying off the top rope and out of the ring. That's what it's going to kind of be like because, again, there's just a lot of situations that are going to cross lanes, if you will. But we have Jacob Novick. He just did that. Mandingo McThickens, one of the best in the business. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, "Boom, I guess I'm alone." No, you're not. Halo story was fantastic. It absolutely was. The multiplayer is solid. Freaking absolutely the best gunplay in gaming. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Go play it. It's free to play, folks. There's no excuse. I don't like the cosmetics. Some of them are. That's why I haven't changed mine. If you ever seen mine, looks completely badass. Like it like legit. Probably the best looking Spartan I've ever put together. I'm never changing him. But I don't like a lot of their cosmetics. I think they're awful. I think that I feel like sometimes they were designed in a dark closet, with crayon. Here, come up with something. Oh, here you go, and then just hand it out the door in complete pitch blackness. And like, this is what I came out with. Oh, good. Let's sell that. Some of it is just horrible. We also have he goes on to say the multiplayer is solid. I think it was was the split release. What if Halo released on 11/12/22 or 11/1/2022? I mean, I don't think that split release hurt it at all. I played it, like I said, I did all the seasons. I finished the game. I'm still playing the game right now. It's I'm still hunting for the logs. I'm missing a few to get that achievement, which I'm trying to get. Chris Gomez drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Isn't it strange that Halo is judged over its multiplayer engagement and new content there, when what we remember has always been the campaigns?" I mean, I've always looked at. I mean, for me, I've always kind of put both of them together. I don't. This is just me. This is Boomstick's opinion. I do levy both of them even because I would play the multiplayer as much as I would play the single player. Which one do I like better? It's hard to say because I really do like both of them, but I'm crushed that we're not getting any single player stuff to continue the story. I'm just really mad about that. I'm going to be honest. We also have Fighting Dog or Fighting D-Dog. What's up, brother? Welcome to the program. He drops a $2 super chat and says, "Halo third person is a must at some point." Yes, thank you very much. From your mouth to the gaming god's ears. I hope that in fact does happen. Sith Lord drops a very generous $2 super chat and he says, "Nice shirt, Boom. When can I get one?" Okay, if you want to see, this is one of the merch that we're going to be doing. This is Mr. BoomStick XL. There is going to be one. This is the Hydra colors, which I'm not a Hydra agent, but that's one of the colors. There is a red, white, and blue version. Like I said, we're going to be launching the merch store soon enough. I'm getting all that done as we speak. I just got the proofs for the new Breakfast at Boom. It is freaking phenomenal. And there's the Ben Kenobi is doing other designs. I think it's 3 or 4 other designs, and we're going to launch everything in one shot. This was gifted to me, and I reached out to the artist, and I bought the rights for this, and this will be one of the shirts that we're putting up there. So thank you for your interest, brother. Pixelbit G, generous friend of the program, who's been a channel member for holy matrimony 20 months, folks. He says, I've been begging for a story drive action adventure with Sergeant Johnson. Oh, dude, that would be so good. Or a horror game that could be flood or covenant invasion of mere humans. Holy moly, that is, or from a human perspective, from like a non-combatant perspective. Oh crap, these aliens or these monsters are here. What do I do? I love it. I think that's phenomenal. We also have okay, yeah. So One Bad Mother's got to get out of here, brother. Listen, we'll catch you on here when you have some more time. Thanks for being here. Definitely appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man. Guys, it's great hearing from you. I'll be listening to you in the background while I'm working, but thanks for inviting me on for a few minutes to get my multiple words in today.
Thanks, OBM, man. We love having you here.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely,
Yeah,
brother.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'll
Good
talk to you
stuff,
soon.
man. Good stuff.
So real quick, Infinite Umbra might be joining us if he's still awake, because remember he works overnight, so he's going to try and get in here hopefully in 30 minutes. We'll get his opinion, but I want to, again, this is going to be a little bit wacky. I got to get into a particular topic that came the way of a particular journalist that attacked Phil Spencer for now Phil Spencer, I think everyone knows who Phil is. Was at this week's New York Game Awards, and while he was up there, Phil did what Phil does, and he talks about inclusion and acceptance and challenging other publishers and developers not to segregate the gaming public, and he's obviously unbelievably against trolling and console war rhetoric. And like I said, I had a chance last year to meet Phil, and it was an incredible experience for me personally, because obviously I'm a big fan of him. We do think a lot alike when it comes to inclusion and putting community first. It's something that my wife and I strive on this channel to do. Having welcoming opinions and a place for people to come and hang out is something that was paramount when we built this channel, and we're very proud of where it has gone. And many of Phil's views in regards to inclusion and acceptance, and and shunning others who use hate to drive clicks and subs. We both are in the same mindset, and I had an unbelievable chance. And if you want to know what we talked about, I can't specifically say, but I did have an opportunity to bring up one particular game. And what do you think that game was? It wasn't Killer Instinct. It was Banjo-Kazooie. That's right. I figured if I got 5 minutes with Phil, I was going to mention Banjo-Kazooie, and God damn it, I did it.
Should have been Conquer. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but for me personally,
I know for you,
it's Banjo.
For
yeah,
you.
But Phil had a lot of incredible things to say. And he said one of the things he said was game companies must turn away from dividing players and creators. Goes on to say, honor our differences and practice empathy. And I think he's 100% right. Well, this particular journalist, which normally I don't give out the names, but I'm going to give out the name because he's a dick. His name is Luke Plunkett. He is a beat writer at Kotaku. Kotaku is a piece of shit magazine and publication. They're just garbage. And they have for years done things to weaponize hate. And I'm actually gonna read you exactly what I said. Well, he wrote, turn away from dividing players, in quote, says the man at the helm of the most toxic fan base in all of video games. Right? So I'm going to bring to your attention exactly what I said to him. And of course, after I said it, he blocked me, which is fine because he's a giant penis. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so this is what I have said. Now, normally I tweet and I get 60 or 70 people that like it, which is great, right? That's great engagement. Well, apparently this particular tweet now has had over almost 8,000 views and nearly 500 likes. And I didn't do it for the likes. I did it because what he said really pissed me off. So I wrote to him and I said, really? Xbox players being the most toxic. And I wrote, this is coming from a writer whose company has weaponized hate towards Xbox for years and capitalized on it for growth through clicks, likes, and subs. Now, I think that's incredibly politically correct.
Yep.
As a fact, I don't think there's anything wrong with what I said at all. But he blocked me. It's fine. That's what Kotaku cowards do. They block. Jason Schreier, coward number 1, who doesn't work for them anymore. And this is just another coward to add to the list at Kotaku of what I believe to be a POS publication known as a rag magazine you'd find on the grocery line, like the Inquirer. But Fuzzy, I want to go to you first on this. Fuzzy, you're all riled up, right? You heard what I said, and obviously, I suppose attacking Phil Spencer for comments of equality and acceptance and inclusion. It blows my mind that when Phil goes out there as the leader of Xbox, of Microsoft Gaming, a guy that has a role that pays him in the high 6 figures, and yet in the evening he's hanging out on the couch playing Destiny with people from the community. Like what he does is unheard of. Why the attack?
Well, it's funny to me whenever somebody says, "Oh, he's divisive and Xbox community is toxic." What community sent dick pics to developers for a release date?
Thank you.
I forgot. Oh, that's right, PlayStation. What community has like gatekeepers that? Oh, well, if you haven't beat this game on the hardest level, you're not a gamer. Well, how about
that'd be the PlayStation community, sir?
Yeah. Like, how about you play us in a cross-play game? Oh, that's right. Your preferred platform charges developers to do cross-play, so that's not divisive at all. No. But timed exclusives out the wazoo. Hey, this game is supposed to come to Xbox eventually. We just put 2 more years on the contract. No, it's not coming. So yeah. As far as when it comes to Phil Spencer, if you want to see I guess about the biggest divisive thing would be, okay, the games are coming to where Game Pass is available. Oh, well, I guess PlayStation doesn't want to put Game Pass, so he's being divisive. But, there's not even a remote chance. Well, I guess that's slowly changing thanks to Jim Ryan, but there's not even a remote chance that some of the games come to PC had it not been for, this new initiative that Jim Ryan is pushing that's very similar to Xbox. We got to find more gamers. These 120 million consoles is not enough. We got to sell more games. So I never understood why people attack Phil on a lot of the stuff that he does, but then again, he's the one that kind of prevented the ship from sinking, I guess you could say, to some extent. So of course, if you don't like the Xbox platform, the fake concern that a lot of them have, of course they're going to want the captain of the ship that kind of stopped it from hitting the iceberg, or at least after the iceberg, or after it hit the iceberg, got everybody to bail out the water. Of course they want him gone for whatever reason. And that goes even for journalists, because, hey, what better way to keep employed than to come up with these clickbait articles that people are just going to keep on, going to the site. And, I'm guilty of it sometimes. Like, I'll interact with these knuckleheads from Kotaku and Gamer Rant and all that, like the whole thing with the Starfield thing. Oh, it'll be forgotten like No Man's Sky.
Yeah, another ridiculous. It seems like they came out of the woodworks to attack Xbox. And again, granted, Xbox had some bad news, sure, but they're certainly not the only one.
Well, here's the funny thing. Let's see how much energy they have to attack PlayStation when they lay off 7,000 plus employees come September. I mean, there's articles and data showing that PlayStation for the past 12 years has been laying off more people than Xbox or Microsoft as a whole. So it's like, I actually have
those stats in front of me, just in case anybody wants to know what Fuzzy Belvedere is talking about. Give me a moment. Let me just pull them up, and I will read them verbatim. Now, this was posted by Astel on Twitter. Now he obviously is an Xbox dude, and it's fine. So let's really pull the camera back here, folks. If you want to know exactly what Fuzzy's talking about, Check it out. Since 2011, so we're going to do a 12-year run here. Microsoft has hired 121,000 employees, right? In that same 12 years, right? Again, this is, you want to compare apples to oranges, and this is what the console warriors are doing regarding Microsoft letting off 11,000 people, which I have called out Microsoft for that. I think that's horrendous. Sony, PlayStation, SIE, your favorite blue brand, since 2011 has lost 61.4 thousand employees. They've been on a steady decline since 2011. Microsoft has doubled in adding jobs. So again, the fact that we're talking about this because console warriors are out there rah-rahing for Sony is gross. But because he mentioned it, and because I have the stats in front of me, I figured I would add context to what you were saying, Fuzzy, but please continue.
Yeah, it just boggles my mind that, during this time when people are being laid off, people want to, oh, well, Phil's the problem. I don't think anybody that would be in that position would have to make or be able to make any different decision. And it really comes down to Satya Nadella, which, and it's not the point fingers directly at him either. It's when you have metrics of the industry growing in certain areas and then you hire to accommodate for that said growth and then things kind of retract or roll back a bit, you're going to have to make cuts. And that's in any form of business, whether it be the auto industry, gaming, produce, agriculture, anything. It's always going to be an unfortunate ebb and flow kind of thing. I think the big thing now is, as far as like gaming journalists, I guess they figure after the showcase on the 25th, and let's say Microsoft is able to hit their cadence this year like they should, they're not going to have much clickbait article stuff to talk about that doesn't track back
you'll
to
see
2013.
the turn. You will see the turn in gaming media exactly, Fuzzy, like you saw in 2013. That's a great point.
So it just seems like a lot of these journalists that, are PlayStation only fans or whatever you want to call them are kind of squirming in their seats with this potential transition into, this being more of the dominance for like Xbox, their least preferred platform, or the platform they seem to hate for whatever reason. It's almost like it kicked their dog or spit on their baby or something. I don't know, but I just, it boggles my mind. Yes, I understand the whole clickbait and advertising dollars, and that's important because that's what keeps them employed and keeps the lights on. But there's better articles that they could talk about in reference to, things that are valid in the news. Like, yes, 343 is having a difficult time, and they've been having a difficult time due to I would say a number of reasons. And the thing, from somebody that used to be in a managerial position as far as for web design and things along those lines, contract work where as soon as you get people up to speed and you kind of boot them out the door because, hey, the time's up on whatever, contract clock that Redmond has or Washington State has, that should have been a problem that they worked on years ago. Like I had said this before, like, and not to jump topics or anything, but it's like, you would think if the headquarters is in Redmond, Washington for 343, why not just say, hey, we're going to have a new satellite office be the headquarters. Everybody that's in Redmond can stay there. We're just going to have like a handful of people. Maybe they're the new hires. Maybe they're the people that are willing to transfer, where the contract laws aren't as, I guess, ridiculous in the sense where it comes to productivity. And then just make that the headquarters. So now any contract work is based off of those rules and regulations. Because if the contractors are doing remote work where they're not even in Washington State, then it doesn't make any sense to let them go after 18 months, once they're finally accustomed to the engine or accustomed to the workflow. It just seemed like a whole silly cycle.
It doesn't make any damn sense at all.
Yeah, and that's where I can see pointing fingers at upper management, because that's something that they should have brought attention to somebody. Like, hey, we have to change this. Like, otherwise we're just going to take one step forward and two steps back, because we're always going to be in the hole with talent that are finally up to speed type of thing. But like I said, back to the Kotaku thing, like it's it's silly. I can understand their not that I agree with it, but I can understand their dislike for Phil, because if he's leading the team of the platform you don't like, of course you're gonna, spit and vinegar and all that aimed at him type of thing. But come on, he's not the divisive character. If anything, look over at Jim Ryan, because hey, who plays old games? But now you're playing old games in the Premium Plus PS Plus package. So
the same games that he said in that interview, who would play this?
yeah, so it's like,
I remember that. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I remember it exclusively, and yet
Patrick Farm
leading
remembers.
the charge of PlayStation Plus Premium, which I am a effing member, folks. Okay, I just re-upped my $120. I can't get a deal, and that's fine. It's fine. It is what it is.
Our condolences.
Yeah, I know. I saw it and I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's let them just charge the freaking credit card. I don't want to lose my saves, and I didn't want to drop down to the lesser one just in case they start adding day and date stuff for like at least indies, like Stray. Stray is the reason why I moved over to that, and I love Stray. Stray, not game of the year, but a good enough game for me to move over. And I was like, F it, I'm just gonna leave it.
Yeah. But that's your choice.
Yeah,
and nobody should criticize that.
Exactly.
My money.
I'm still gonna. No, I'm joking.
Welcome, Umbra. We're gonna get to you in a second, brother. Thank you so much for joining. Actually, I thought about asking you because someone didn't DM me. They added me at on Twitter, and they were like, "Oh, you usually bring Umbra in." I'm like, "Yeah, why shouldn't we bring Umbra in? Let's see if he's still up." So there you go.
I saw it. I saw it a minute ago. I was like, you know what? Yeah.
So I appreciate you being here, brother. Thank you so much.
Before you go on, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Dreadpool, you have 800 above you, right, or next to you, right there.
Yes.
What is that?
That's how many subs he has for YouTube.
That's
okay.
the road to 1K.
Yeah.
Okay, that's I was wondering.
1K.
It's actually, if I recall, it was 798 when we first started, and as the show started up, it went to 800, so I had to fix that, and now I'm at 803 currently. So I was
nice.
So okay,
yeah. That's just the count. It's just my own mind's hype train of we're getting there, and just trying to remind everybody what I'm working for.
I was thinking, is this the 800 show you've been on or something? I didn't know. What
no, it's higher than that.
That's what I thought he meant.
I've done more shows than I have subs.
So who's playing the music? Oh yeah, just yeah.
Not me.
Oh, that's weird.
I did hear something.
Yeah,
when I was laughing.
weird. Okay, yeah,
but it wasn't me.
Yeah, no. Listen, I look, folks. All jokes aside, I just dropped Dred's link in the chat. Do me a favor, folks. Come on. I mean, like I said, this guy works really hard. His content is very unusual. It's very well done. Get over there and sub this dude. Let's get him to 1K, man. I mean, we have 425 people here. I mean, half of you got to be at least not subscribed. And live on the air, folks, it would mean the world to me. But you know who would mean the world even more? Dreadpool. Like I said, folks, if you are not a content creator, maybe the correlation of what it means to hit that 1K you don't understand. I'm here to tell you, as someone that does this shit 5 days a week and loves every freaking second of it, hitting that 1K is personal validation to the hard work that a lot of people don't see. Like I said, you see me on camera, you see me trying to, up my game. If it's not gameplay, it's stuff like this. I'm adding to the background, always trying to innovate, always trying to be better. There's a lot of behind the scene works that people don't know about, and I'm not complaining about it. I love it. I do. I actually work on the channel 7 days a week, even on the weekends, which is my time off, Mrs. Boom. Anyone will tell you, I'm sending show notes, I'm sending articles, I'm reading articles, I'm doing thumbnails. As you see, my thumbnails have improved drastically over the course of the last couple of years. Give the guy a sub, man. I mean, honestly, we can do this live on the air. We've done this before. I did it for the Iron Lords to hit 1K. I did it for BRAP. I did it for many others. Last year in January, live on the podcast of the Iron Lords. They got me to 10K. So you see how things come back around. Let's do it, folks. Come on, do it for me. Do it for
a
Dread.
couple weeks ago.
Yep. Mr. K. Asante, absolutely. And we got it. And the next goal is, besides Dread, we got to get Steel Rain and Pong Soul on Living Split Screen to 1K, because that show is phenomenal. But anyway, you're here. Get over there. Subscribe to Dread. But let Fuzzy go, and then we'll bring Dave in, and then we're gonna bring Crispy in on the conversation. We're gonna everyone here. But anything else you would like to add, Fuzzy, regarding the shenanigans?
No, I think I've said enough. These journalists need to just, I guess, grow up or find other interesting topics within the gaming industry. There are plenty out there for them to pick from, and this just ain't it.
Yeah, you know what? I actually, when I first read it, I thought that the especially the one from the Game Rant one, where the journalist basically said that he compared No Man's Sky as to doing it first before Starfield, and I said, this has got to be a 20-year-old punk that doesn't know shit about Shimon, right? And it turns out he's been gaming since the N64 days. So that just goes to show you that that's a shame. That's a shame that a journalist that has been in the business as long as, like I said, I responded even politically correct to him as well. It's I don't have to be a jerk, and I won't be. I'm a staple in this community and known as a good guy, and I will continue to be that. I rather, like I said, I say this all the time, folks. I'd rather lose to be the good guy than win to be the bad one. That's the truth. But Dave, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Go wherever you want to go. You want to talk about Halo? Talk about Halo. You want to talk about this knucklehead journalist? Talk about it, because the attacks on Phil Spencer I find to be incredibly unwarranted.
Right.
All he has done is put the community first at every aspect. And again, I'm not being a fanboy here. I'm being a realist. You cannot say the same thing for Jim Ryan. You cannot say the same thing for Bowser over at Nintendo, who you never see. You never hear from these people, but you hear from Phil almost every day.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and cover both real quick. On Halo, all I can say is
game over.
It's not game over, folks. It's not. The fight is just beginning. I'm telling you that right now. They are going to be making a lot of moves. They have these other companies that are working behind the scenes and that are making content for it. It's going to keep going, and eventually, when time is right, they'll bring Halo back to the forefront. I have no doubt about that, because it is a franchise game. So with Phil, it's like Fuzzy said, and you said it quite well. The things that the hypocrisy from some of the other fans and saying these things against Phil, like Phil's a clown and Phil's bad for the industry. They're bad for the industry for Sony, maybe, because they're scared. Phil is righted the ship. He's got him going in the right direction, and because of him, we're definitely a better gaming community today. There's a few, we'll say fanboys of PlayStation that just there's nothing that Microsoft could do to be good, because it's all about them thinking that Sony is their product. Sony is the PlayStation is like, that's what they live for, because they decided to die behind that chip, and that's fine. They are the market leader for now, but they won't be forever, and we'll see in the long run what happens. But the biggest thing is that we have these great different communities out there of gaming. You got Nintendo, you got PC, you got PlayStation, you got Microsoft. I mean, you have all these different companies making great games. What's this all about? Great content for everybody, all walks of life. Everybody likes to play, from mobile to hardcore rig players on a PC. There's something for everybody. But for some reason, some of these people get totally, let's say it, butthurt over the fact that that somebody else has a good day, or if somebody has a bad day, well, let's highlight that because the world's over, And it's ridiculous. It really is. But you know, the fanboys will be fanboys, and we have a few trolls in the chat today that are coming on strong. But the reason they're coming in today is because they know that Boom is going to bring the righteous smoke and the facts and the truth about gaming, where they can't handle the truth, and that is just the way it is. Boom. That's what I got, man.
Look,
Where's the soundbite for that?
Yeah, he might have something. I will say this. I am going to be critical to Microsoft, to Xbox, to 343, to whatever studio drops the ball, because I'm a consumer, I'm a fan, and I want the best for myself as well as a community that I support and that supports me. I will not be a D-bag about it. I will not throw anyone under the bus and tell people that they should lose their jobs because X, Y, and Z. I think that is ridiculous. I think if you are part of that rhetoric, you shouldn't be a part of this community. I'm going to tell you that right now. There's no reason to get that deep about a game. You can have frustrations. I'm frustrated. I'm a frustrated Halo fan, and I gave that game a 10 out of 10. And like I said, I will stand on that hill and die there. Multiplayer is phenomenal. Single player, phenomenal. The grappling hook can never be undone. That's how great it is. I hear a lot of people talk about that game that have never played it. Don't talk shit if you've never played the game. I'm just that's all I have to say about it. But I do want to catch up on some of the super chats. Brett Bingham, good friend of the program, drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Halo became less creepy when they made it teen or T for teen. Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about that. Jacob Novick drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, make a Beyblade style kid show about the journey of a dead Spartan's kid who tries to find Master Chief to end the war, and Chief is done. Do a game to go with it. Do a deal with a kids TV channel. I mean, these are all great ideas, folks. You can't argue that. Arigato Sir drops a very generous $10 super chat. It says, Halo failed because they have boring cosmetics in gaming. It makes no sense to me that Fortnite has Doom Guy, Master Chief, and they make it work, but 343 can't make a Doom armor set or a Fallout armor set. Look, I mean, who can argue that? Could someone tell me for the life of me, I cannot figure it out.
I don't really get that either.
Guest characters, or guest armors, or designed armors around characters, or something that has gone on in multiplayer gaming for generations. How is it that Microsoft has the licensed IPs for Doom Guy and Fallout and Fulgore from Killer Instinct, right? How is it that those three armor sets that are made to look like Spartan armor are not designed and dropped in there because you're getting my $20? If I see a Doom Guy armor set, I'm buying it, right? That's the free-to-play model. You just hooked me. How is it that people in this community, Arigato Sar being one of them, myself being another, can have these ideas? I don't have a degree in marketing. I'm just a fan. How is it that we could think about these things and Microsoft and 343 can't? You ever see some of those armors? They are the ugliest things I have ever seen. The last big one that I actually had a guy was like, well, I'm a welder, so I like the armor. You know, that's good for you. You're a welder. But that last armor with the that looked it looked like it was designed, like I said, in a dark closet with no light. Yeah, just draw up something and stick it under the door. We'll use that. That's not how you treat your flagship IP. I'm sorry, folks. That's disgraceful.
Well, remember way back when Fable 2 came out, if you buy the special edition, you got the Master Chief armor for Halo.
I remember that.
In that,
yeah.
I bought that thing day one because of that.
Mm-hmm.
That would, I mean, I love Fable. Fable is still my franchise,
yeah.
But when they did that, I wore that thing throughout the game. I never changed armor once.
There you go.
I may have changed the weapons a little bit, but I always kept the original, what was it? Outsider weapons, outsider armor,
Yes.
like, hey, stranger.
Yeah.
I always kept that. Why? Because it was a nice cross reference between the games.
I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. Halo 3, which is, by the way, Boom, was my favorite in the series too. Until for Infinite for you, I know, but I think Halo 3 is still for me. But the Hayabusa armor.
Oh, dude, yes.
Cross-referencing, obviously, Ninja Gaiden.
Yes.
Like that's the thing I think they're missing out on, is just having fun with what they add to the thing. You see them doing it with MCC. So I do have faith now that Pierre Heinze, I'm not sure how you say his last name.
Yeah, I think it's Hintz.
Is it Hintz?
Yeah, I think it's Hintz. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Well, he was responsible for a lot of that, and so I feel like they will do that going forward. But even beyond that, I will say this: I don't think that simply that part of the live service is what caused anything.
Oh no, the content was definitely
exactly
at the forefront.
And
no new weapons, maps were just dripping out. They weren't coming out in proper succession.
Then we had a lack of maps. We just had a lack of maps.
Yeah.
By the way, Tim the Sorcerer, I thought those cat ears were horrible too. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
I was not a fan of the cat ears. I actually targeted anybody who had them. I made sure to take them out. I'm like, damn you and those cat ears.
Cat ears.
Look at Soul Calibur though. When you had the, everybody at first thought it was Master Chief and it wasn't, but still you had that crossover there. That was like a huge hype.
Yeah.
There was a crossover in Dead or Alive. That was a Spartan.
Soul Calibur 3 is one of the greatest fighting games I've ever played.
Yeah,
by far.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Yoda and you just had so many different characters.
Spawn was a Link in the Nintendo
Darth
version.
Vader,
Darth Vader.
Yeah, dude, like great, awesome game. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but Halo Infinite's issues were numerous. I think Vision being one. Obviously, the engine, where they had engine troubles and got to the point where obviously it was delayed, and because they had to switch back and get to the slip space as they came up to, it was a lot more issues that is detailed. And like you said, Boom, and that tweet that the guy put out that highlighted so many more things in management and such too, that led to Halo being in the situation it is. And I still hold hope that they can rebound.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Sylvester Perez in the chat. He says Halo Infinite is not a 10 out of 10. Well, that's your opinion, brother, and you are absolutely entitled to that. I think it is. Yep. He goes on to say Halo 3, which was my favorite Halo of all time, and Halo Reach. I liked Halo Reach. I don't have it in the highest ranking as some other people. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great, but I didn't think it's legendary. That's my opinion. See how we can have different opinions and still hang out?
Yep.
There you go. He goes. He thinks that Halo 3 and Halo Reach had a better campaign and more content, and that is kind of true. In regards to the content, he says those games didn't have the power of the Series X, and they didn't. And I mean, they technically do now because they're in the Master Chief Collection. But I still think Reach is a 10 out of 10. That's just me. But again, opinions, brother. That's awesome. Crispy, I want to bring you into the conversation. Like I said, attack this from any angle you feel that it's right. Whether you want to talk about Halo and the mismanagement, and the management is definitely the key conversation piece, or the knucklehead journalist that attacked Phil for simply putting out there, that he wants better for the community. He wants better for treatment of said community. And of course, this troll POS from Kotaku, which is not surprising because a lot of the journalists are just shit. Talk about it.
Wait, he's a journalist?
I mean that by title, certainly not by action.
Do you feel like as he tweeted this, he was clutching his PlayStation
potentially
right against
he was definitely hugging it for sure.
Yeah. Clutching it or dry hugging it.
This is the greatest thing since sliced bread, because I don't know. I think I remember, some thought process of nude pictures going to developers from fans that were angry at said developers on the PlayStation platform.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody remember that? let's be honest here. Toxicity is what you make it. And that man has decided to take all the toxicity and bring it into his body and enjoy it. And this is what we call a journalistic troll. So should he be a journalist? That is the question. No, he shouldn't. You look at people like this and you say, how long, have you been on this earth? How long have you been gaming? Because I'll tell you right now, I was a diehard PlayStation fan. I was a diehard Sega fan. Now I'm a diehard Xbox fan. But also, I don't look at them and say, I hate you because I don't know. I just hate you. I mean, come on. Like you look at what Phil said. I thought it was amazing. I watched the entire thing. I thought Phil was really not just talking about gaming toxicity, but talking about toxicity when it comes to differing opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important because, you can have a differing opinion and you can have a logical and well thought out conversation if you want to. And that comes down to you as a human being. This man said, no, I'm going to go for all the toxicity and talk trash about a gaming community that generally just supports Xbox. I mean, we talk about Xbox more than some of these fanboys on the PlayStation side ever talk about PlayStation. They talk about Xbox more, people. Like, if you really look at them, I have plenty that I could still go on their YouTube channel and listen to them trash Xbox all the time. Well, what about PlayStation? We could sit here and look at Halo and say, you know what? You're not doing the right thing. Okay? We can do that. As a community, we could say, this is what's happening. It doesn't look good. When Bonnie Ross left and Joe Stain technically became head, but didn't technically become head, and all these things, I was like, oh, this is not looking good. You know what I mean? And the worst part is that there's a huge amount of Halo fans. And you have to realize there's so many other games that are coming out that eventually Halo's going to go to the wayside, unfortunately. I get it. It is upsetting, but they haven't, manifested this logicalness to, take this free-to-play model and actually make it something that is Halo. And, I think it needs, and this is where I say, like, a lot of people are like Slipspace. That, well, guess what? You ever watch some of these people that are making stuff in Forge? Like, Slipspace has a place. I just think, they need to move away from, being specific on what they're doing, and rather than, not being consistent. And if you're consistent, you're going to bring a lot of, new content and stuff like that. Like, we are, the Halo launch already happened. Like, it's time for some consistency in content, especially being a free to play. And I think that's what Boom is trying to say. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta, like, I had a lot of people remember Gears 5 had Halo characters in it.
Yeah, dude, they had a lot of characters. They had Terminator, they had Sarah
Why
Connor.
I mean, you know what I mean? Why isn't Carmine in Halo? I mean, I'm going to be honest. Dreadpool said it. Some people might be like, oh, I'm going to play that now because Carmine's in there.
Guest character. What? You know what? Being that you brought it up, Crispy, one of you and your girlfriend or your fiance's favorite games is Mortal Kombat, right? Who has done it better in the last decade than what they have done over at that team with guest characters?
NetherRealm, yeah. I mean,
NetherRealm has brought in Jason, Freddy, Bubba from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Alien, Predator. How is it, folks? And I understand licensing. I get it. I'm not a boob. How is it, folks, that a Predator designed armor isn't in Halo Infinite? I mean,
that
awesome.
would be, you know what I mean? Like, and that's where I go and say, especially because they're free to play, like this is where you should be angry. And you know what? The single player, from what I'm seeing, they're going to use a lot of, second party, deals that they involve other companies into, which, you could go and say they laid off a bunch of people, but they're also, kind of technically hiring or keeping people in their same position of what they possibly have been doing. And also you look at Microsoft and you say, did they, offer freaking severance packages and stuff like that? Like things that you don't know, you're not going to hear about it. That individual person maybe got a certain amount of money and it was like, you know what? Either I stay and I move, because that could be a possibility. I've seen it before in the retail industry. Okay. They'll offer a severance and they'll also offer you to stay employed and move to another area. These people might have been like, nah, I'm good. Some of them might have been, I only have a, year and a half contract. That's it. I mean, there's a lot of things that are involved in this. And also you see all these other tech companies, which it's like, hey, Microsoft, you could take the L first. And then all of a sudden we're starting to hear about Google, and you're going to hear more about Amazon. And, there are big companies that say, hey, our stock price is more important. You know what I mean? But you have to realize that Microsoft, I mean, that's less than 5% of their entire workforce. I mean, come on. Dude, they have hundreds of thousands of employees within the world, okay? They have chosen in their own way what they're going to do. And, there's a reason for them to, be taken away from Halo certain aspects. Maybe they think these other developers that are outside will treat it better. I don't know. But we've all looked at Halo after all this time. And the only thing I say is, why do we need to hear about it so much? You know what I mean? Why do we need to hear about Halo so much? Why do we need to hear about devs leaving and this and that? Because I'll tell you right now, and I'm like, I pick Halo or Gears. I'm picking Gears. Okay. So
yeah, that we know for sure.
I pick Gears. And the one thing I'll say, after Rod left, does anybody even know who the lead developer is?
I don't think many people do, dude.
It's Mike Crump.
Yes.
He's been the lead dev since
Rod
left.
Rod took
and
off.
there
Yeah.
has been, he's never walked on stage, nothing. You look at some of these other studios and you say like you can go and say, oh, Tim Sweeney or something like that. But then you start you have to actually dig to find about, and that's where I go and say Halo's at its peak point for now. You're probably going to see something maybe at the end of the year in a space where it's logical. And also, they need consistency at 343. They need a single voice. They don't need Bonnie and then all of a sudden leaving, and then Joe all of a sudden going to Xbox Publishing. You know what I mean? Like these are things that, I look at as a worker in general, and I look at when my company merged with somebody and I say, am I going to have a job? You know what I'm saying? And those type of things will overexert themselves in your brain. And then all of a sudden you're like, you don't really care about the job. You care about if you're going to have a job. And, you don't really care about what you're developing. You really just care about, am I going to sustain myself the way I'm used to? And these are things that you look at some of the layoffs and you're like, well, what are you going to say to it at this point? I mean, inflation's through the roof. I mean, we can't deny that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, these are $1 trillion companies we're talking about. So you say, take the hit. And that's where I'm at. I'm a worker. I say, take the hit. I'm sorry. But at the same time, Microsoft hasn't they basically hired for the past 2.5 years, hired way more than they're normally doing. So at some point you have to say, okay, we got to look at metrics and this and that. and it's these things that you say, like, you're not a CEO, you don't understand that, they got to look at that stock price as well. And right now it's hovering where it's been for a long time. So to sustain that in their head, they might say, okay, we got to do some layoffs because there's too much workforce here. And it sucks, but you also look at it and say, you're going to see a trickle-down effect. By the end of the year, you're going to see so many other companies doing the same thing, which sucks. It really does. But it's really up to our government, especially in the United States, to do the right thing. And I think it boggles me that, like they're going to put the pivot on these single entities, these single companies, and look at them and say, it's up to you. Well, you're saying that you're going to pay more taxes. You're saying that this and that. Well, that's fine. But this is not the time for that, to be honest with you. It's not. I mean, when I almost paid $10 for 18 eggs, I mean, come on.
Dude, yeah, I said that the other day. We were at Walmart.
That's almost a pack of
$7 for a dozen eggs. $7, bro. That's like ridiculous.
And you know what they're saying? Bird flu and this and that. Dude, like I'm in the meat industry, okay? I'm gonna tell you right now, half the time they're just saying what they need to say to drive up the price. Okay. So I don't believe half of what they say. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things like, hey, inflation's there, we get it. But like when I walk out of work and I spend $70 on groceries just to feed two people for a night, besides myself, like there's a problem. And like I obviously have other things that, like buy milk, stuff like that. It just adds up. Like, you got to look at it and say, like, what these companies do, they didn't need to do it. And that's something that I need to point out. They didn't need to do it, but in the way all these people that invest in them and everything else, they feel they have to do it. And I think that's important.
No, I absolutely agree. Infinite Umbra, let's bring you in on the conversation now. Obviously, there are some console warriors out there, fake concerns for Halo, for Halo Infinite and its multiplayer. And again, it's fine if you want to do that. My counter to be is, how come we haven't heard from the PlayStation community about the promise to deliver The Last of Us multiplayer, which was originally going to be free and is no longer going to be free? You know where it's going to be, folks? It's going to be announced this year. And I tell you how Sony's going to get you. And people are going to be cheering this on. They're going to be cheering on factions. It is going to be included in The Last of Us Part 2 remake. Watch. That's coming. That's coming.
We believe in generations, Boom.
But they believe in generations. That's how they're going to get you to buy that game again. Add to the sales numbers, the lifetime sales numbers, by including factions. Watch, you'll see.
What they meant by that was they like generational wealth from their gamers.
Generational wealth. I love it. I love it.
Keep robbing them.
So listen, let's get your opinion on again, if you want to cover both, by all means, drop your bars. The Halo situation, obviously. I'll say this: if there is one avenue or one entity that Halo Infinite, their multiplayer team, should be focused on, looking straight at, is the way Fortnite does their business. Where the F in a world of gaming did you ever think you were going to have Kratos, Snake Eyes, and Master Chief on the same effing battlefield, dancing and shooting confetti guns? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but you know what also it sounds? Cool as shit. Like I said, there is no reason, there is no rhyme, there is no excuse you can give me that if you take your free-to-play model and you add guest characters or armors designed to look like characters, who in the room of 425 people that are here right now wouldn't drop $5 or $10 for a Storm Shadow armor? or a Doom Guy armor or a full gore armor. They're going to get me. I'm going to spend so much money that I'm going to be considered a whale. That's how much money I would spend. And you know what it would do? It would get me to play the game even more because I spent money on said armor. The fact that we have these absolutely egregious designed armors in Halo Infinite make no sense. I don't understand it. But Umbra, obviously, the way that Phil was attacked was obviously wrong. Kotaku is just a garbage publication. Whichever or both you want to cover.
I guess I'll quickly touch on the Luke Plunkett, if you will.
Yeah.
And then I'll move to Halo, the more important thing. This guy here is a character, right? And just because you are a character doesn't mean you have characters, the old saying. This guy right here, he blocks people left and right, no matter what you say. I've seen people say the smallest thing to him as far as his ridiculous tweet, just saying, well, what about if you think this is bad for Xbox and we're the worst fan base, repeat that same thing, put Jim Ryan's name, and see if you'll probably have to go private after 5 hours, they said. And he blocked them. And there wasn't even an offensive thing said to him, and he blocked him. I've seen other people do similar things where they didn't insult him or anything, and he blocked him. The guy is soft. I'll just say that for one. And it amazes me that you would be soft, but also try to console war as a journalist. What sense does that make? It's ridiculous. And furthermore, I'll just say it further proves the point where a lot of us in the Xbox community have pointed out that people are extremely biased. And journalists, so-called journalists are extremely biased when it comes to Xbox. And I think it keeps bearing out. A lot of them are kind of hush where they don't really point it out and say it, but we can tell by some of the things they write. But this guy right here is just full out there. I think he's thinking he's going to get some type of bonus from Sony or something by kissing up. But it's embarrassing what he said. I mean, we can go to several things that we've known PlayStation gamers and fanboys, the more toxic type. So we're not just talking about regular PlayStation fans, right? But the super toxic type, like them giving death threats because Spider-Man was going to PC, or the idiot doctor assistant that got filmed his patient for console warring, or threats to Alana Pierce, sexual threats to her. Like, we can go on and on. The list goes on and on. Literal threats to blow up the headquarters of Sony. Like, come on. To sit there and ignore that and make that piece where he had no reason to attack Phil Spencer was just asinine. But enough of that, dude. For Halo, the biggest thing I take away from this, outside of the losses of the jobs, and now we're hearing it's like 130 jobs lost.
Yeah, it's Tim Dog actually confirmed that it's going to be over 130. They're losing 1/3 of the 400 that are there. Yeah,
that's unfortunate. So I do want to say, much love to those who lost jobs, from them and all around from Microsoft in general, should I say. By the way, this is not unique to Microsoft, and people, I think, need to know that. So, because I've seen a lot of people kind of throwing salt at Microsoft. Oh, you're trying to get this, but you're firing these people, blah, blah, blah. And I get some of the anger, but it's a downturn economically, and they're preparing for it. And all these companies are doing it. Google Alphabet, rather, who owns Google, just unfortunately laid off 12,000 people today. So, it continues to happen, and we saw a few others the other days as well.
I would imagine we're going to start seeing. I know Apple is in the process of letting, I think, 8,000 people go. It might be a little bit more than that. Mm-hmm. You're going to see in the next couple of days, to your point, Umbra, that it's going to be. But by the time this thing has slowed down, and it's going to be a very scary situation, 100,000 plus people will have lost their job worldwide, and that's frightening.
Yeah, that's terrible. I will say, and I don't want to sound like a kiss up, but to Microsoft's credit, they've hired up so much that, from, I believe, a few years ago.
I think it's 80,000 in the last 5 years or something like that. It's ridiculous the amount of people they've hired. Yeah,
exactly.
Correct. Yeah.
And they're retaining so many more, even though they have to let go of the 10,000, unfortunately. So, it's something that seems like, I guess it has to happen. Although you would argue, but they're a multi-trillion dollar company. So I don't know. I'll just say that I don't know enough of these financials or what they work with or what they have to do to clarify and say what they can and can't do. So I'll just say it's unfortunate that it's happened, and people are out of jobs and having to search for new spots and such. Though I do feel encouraged because I've seen a lot of people from different avenues and
people
companies
are opening their doors. Yes.
absolutely reaching out.
Yes.
But just to say, and I made a tweet about this about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours ago, and I said maybe 4. I said something along the lines of, "This is the first time where I've felt genuinely uncertain for Halo." And I'm not going to be doom and gloom.
But there's room for concern, brother. There's room for concern.
Yeah, and it does concern me because, that many layoffs. Now we're hearing, of course, the restructuring situation. No campaign DLC, which I was waiting for. That's terrible to hear. And the worst of all, Joseph Staten leaving to go back to Xbox Publishing. It's like,
hurts, brother.
One hit after the other.
Yep.
And that I think Joe Staten actually held a lot of us there for Halo. A lot of people were like, okay, I'll stick around. Let's see what Joe's cooking up. I'm going to stick around. And now that he's leaving too, it feels like an abandonment of ship almost.
Indeed.
Yeah. So that's the unfortunate part. The positives, though, I do look at the silver linings because now we're hearing about the rumors where, the speculation is that they're not going to be so-called in game development themselves, 343, although there's still a lot of developers there. So it seems kind of odd that that's the case.
Yep.
Because there's still hundreds of people there. That's more than enough to make a new game or whatever it might be. But we're hearing now, of course, like you guys pointed out earlier, that they're going to expand the lore, possibly by having new developers and studios make spinoffs and things of that nature. And I'm 100% all for that. So that's one of the silver linings for me is that
I agree.
people expand. And I've seen a lot of people's theories and thoughts on what they would like to see with Halo. I absolutely agree with the take of the third person action game, something like that. I had I had a thought for a third person action game featuring Fireteam Osiris. That's what.
Dude, I love it. I love it, dude. That's fantastic.
I think of Halo 5. Boom. Remember how the intro when they jumped out and
dude,
the Halo
probably
drop.
the best intro in the history of gaming.
One of the best.
Like they're jumping on parts of the ship and they go ridiculous.
Loved it. That was one of the first times I thought that they truly showcased what Spartans would move like in actuality, because Halo games hadn't done it really until that point. So seeing that, I was encouraged by that. So it makes me think, give us a third person action game. I'm thinking of something along. What's the game by Platinum, guys, where you kind of slide around? Was it Vanquish?
Oh, Vanquish was dope, dude. I beat that twice. I loved Vanquish, dude.
So think of something along the lines of Vanquish, except more refined.
Can I throw something towards your way that maybe you haven't thought of? Maybe you have. And chat, please. We got almost 500 people here, which is dope. What if? And again, I know I'm going to get some booze for this. But what if the next Halo project was something like The Outsiders or Destiny? Where it was a team. You could build your character, you could build your armor. It was a big overarching story. There were deals. I would love to see that kind of innovation come to an IP that should have more than just a standard FPS shooter, humans versus aliens. There's so much lore for Halo, dude, that is untapped. It's crazy.
It really is. There's so many ways they can go with it. I mean, one of the more popular ones I remember hearing or reading was having a ODST game set with you having to try to escape an infected flood infected ship or
survival horror.
Ship. Yeah.
Yes.
That one sounds promising as hell. I would actually love that. ODST is not my favorite in the series, but I would love that setting for it because that would really invest me. I still think back to CE when we were first introduced to the Flood. So thinking of something like that with more human-like characters instead of Spartans with, that can fight off anything. Yeah, that will put you in a more survival aspect, horror aspect. I would love that actually. So it's so many ways they can go with it, and turning into the Star Wars of Microsoft or Xbox. That would be a smart way to play it. And there's so many more ways they can go with it after the fact and spinning it off into shows and things of that nature. So I think it's the smartest way to go with it. Just put capable teams on there. I do wonder too, because I saw something mentioned about the budgets. So they said it would be lesser budgets, but then I thought, well, that's not necessarily a negative, because the rumor is Halo Infinite was like 500 million.
Yeah, for the development of the engine and everything like that. Yeah,
exactly. So for all we know, they say lesser, but it could be like 100 million for a spinoff game or something, which is a lot. That's still AAA. So it's so many ways to go with it. Like I said, I'm not gonna. I want to chime in only after. I'm not gonna say only after, but I really want to give my full thoughts after Pierre and the team actually give us a full understanding of what the
roadmap of sorts,
exactly,
what we could look forward to. Yeah, I agree.
And so far, I mean, this year they say for season 3 and such that it seems like that's ironed out, and we're going to have a decent season 3 and 4 going forward. And the plan is there from what I've heard with OBM. So we'll see. I'm still hopeful. I still love Infinite, and like you pointed out, for me, Boom, I gave the game a 9 out of 10 overall, right? And I thought that's with the great campaign, albeit with some things I wish they would have changed and actually showed us the cut scenes of those things instead of, little pickups of these little file clips, whatever.
I agree. Yeah.
Stuff like that. But it still was a fun campaign. Loved it. Still love multiplayer. The only problem is the lack of content. But I can't fault it, going forward in hindsight and saying, well, it was terrible that they didn't do this when I initially loved what I got. Yeah. So I'm just judging it off.
I just want them to do better in regards to like I said, I'm not a marketing manager. No one is here, but I think that the case in point of armor, if you're gonna sell us and you're gonna put out this free to play game to the world in a gamerverse that has Apex Legends and Fortnite and Warzone that are doing it 50 times better than you are, sometimes you need to copy from your competition.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is look over and see how Fortnite, again, has had an unbelievable amount of success. Not because it's the greatest gunplay ever made. It's just not. But the way that they introduce characters, I mean, who here didn't poop their pants when they were bringing Dragon Ball Z characters? Everyone that I knew that was a DBZ fan was like, I bought everything. I spent X amount of dollars. You know what? I applauded them for it because that's what they're. I bought Snake Eyes. I bought Master Chief. I bought Kratos.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even freaking play Fortnite, folks. And I bought these freaking things because I wanted to be a part of the zeitgeist.
You know what it is too, Boom? The reason why they don't do that. I think they touched on that way back sometime, and they pointed out with MCC they felt they could be more expansive with the armor designs. That's why we saw so many crazy ones there. I wish they would have brought that forward, but I think they were talking about. You'll see how they talk about the fractured events, and they how we got the samurai armor and such, the Tenrai and all of that. I think they were trying to stay largely within lore, and I thought
they need to be there. Yeah, but you know what? What you're absolutely correct that they did in fact focus in on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm here to tell you that ain't working.
I agree. They should have changed that. Just give us fantasy armor.
Pivot, man. Make the change.
Fantasy armors. Absolutely. 100% agree. Just have fun with it. Do what is going to appeal to the masses. Instead. I do appreciate though that they wanted to try to appeal to the core fan base by saying, hey, we're going to try to keep this within lore. So I saw some who were like that, but then I was like, no, give me all of the fantasy. I actually had this debate with a buddy of mine. I was like, no, give me fantasy armors. I want everything.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is this. I'll put it to this way. I will say this with complete respect, but sometimes the core are your worst audience. They want what they want, how they want it, and they don't want change. And you know something? If you're bringing a free-to-play game into the world in 2023, you got to move, and you got to shake, and you got to pivot. And I'm telling you right now, just for shits and giggles, do a test run, and drop a power armor inspired design. Drop a Doom guy armored, inspired design, and tell me how your numbers for player base are going to go through the roof, and number two, you're going to make a shit ton of money. That's that's what free to play games are supposed to do. How they haven't figured that out, Umbra, over at 343, mind boggling.
Yeah, and that just goes to point out, by the way, we remember how we all talked about the management issues. Remember how all of us did that, and people were like, "You don't know." Turns out we were actually correct.
Yeah. How about this? How is it, folks, that to this day there isn't a Gears of War inspired Spartan armor? I'm not saying you should bring the chainsaw gun into the game, which would be dope, but just the armor. A Carmine armor. Get it,
man.
Onyx guard.
Like, come on.
Onyx and Carmine those will fit immediately.
Ridiculous. Again, change is coming. Now, folks, normally we go over 2 hours. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been under the weather all week. I'm starting to lose steam. I got to catch up on some of these super chats. I got to get out of here because I still got stuff to do personally. And I got to come back and take it easy because tomorrow, again, I'm going to run the promo real quick. I put it in here. I didn't expect to run it, but I'm going to run it anyway. Tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my brother and my two friends, we do this every year. We're doing Double Barrel Gaming Presents Our Game of the Year. We've done it 5 years in a row. We've done it 11 years in total. We used to do it like a bunch of nerds and hang out and go to people's houses and eat pizza and talk about it. Here's the promo, folks.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, no sound on that one, obviously. But listen, let me catch up with some of the super chats, and then we'll get everyone out of here. And I'm gonna go take it easy because I'm running out of steam. We have Mandingo McThickens. Man, I laugh every time I say that. What a great name! He drops a very generous additional $5 super chat and says, "Gotta say, getting killed by a Spartan with cat ears does something to manhood. Each time I kill a Spartan with cat ears, I teabag them." Oh.
I do the same. I do the same thing.
I can see Umbra now going, "Here, kitty, kitty."
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
I do the same thing.
I love it. I love it. Gameplay HUD Zero, who's been a channel member for over a year, 15 months, as a matter of fact. Thank you so much for the generosity, my brother. He says, "Hey, Boom and Panel. Just want to say how disgusted I am in gaming today. In all of my years of being a gamer, this generation sucks the worst. Toxic media sucks." You know what, dude? I hear you, and I agree 1,000%. He goes on to say in a second message, which he graces us with a $10 super chat, and says, "As for 343 Industries and Halo, I can't blame fans. The upper management didn't have enough passion to give real Halo fans what they wanted, not enough content, and the marketing lead to a hollow game." I mean, yeah, the content is key. It's free to play content. It's supposed to. How they didn't know that going into this is, I don't know, man. Danny Passion Official, generous friend of the program, just a $2 super chat and says, "I feel for those losing their jobs. Microsoft, 10K, actually it was 11. Amazon 18, and of course today it was announced Google's going to losing 12,000 employees, which is very sad. Dreadpool, I didn't get. Holy crap! I'm so sorry, dude. We're gonna get you over here.
I'll try to make it short.
Yeah, no. You don't have to make it short, brother. We'll do what you do. You say what you speak your piece. You spoke before, and just in my mind, I just thought you that you did. By the way, you're up to you got it. 8:36, folks. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
we can do better. We can do better, folks. There's 400 people here. Get over to Dreadpool's freaking website, YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, folks. I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed. Last super chat, Brett Bingham, just a very generous $5 super chat, and says, "An action stealth game as the Arbiter in a Sangheli Civil War." Oh, wow, dude, that's really thinking outside the box. I freaking love that. I think that is freaking phenomenal.
It's so easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Dreadpool, let's get your hot take opinion. I'm going to drop your YouTube channel link into the chat right now. Talk about it, brother. Go either way. Halo, the ridiculous shenanigans with the media, whatever, or both.
I'll cover it all.
Yeah,
It's just a little bit. We'll go with the media part of it. Whatever happened to journalistic integrity? You know what I mean? This wannabe Jason Schreier that's blocking everybody now. And that's the whole thing. You know, whatever happened to, remember when we were in school, I know we learned it all the way back in elementary school, and it carried us through into college. Okay. And that was for the most part, you know, back in the 70s, all the way till today. I don't know recently what's going on, if they're doing it or not, but it doesn't seem like the past 10, 20 years that they're doing it. But whatever happened to the 5 W's, right? Who, what, when, where, and why. Oh, and how, right? That was the whole thing about being a journalist. You had to abide by those. And nowhere does it say opinion. It's different if you put down an opinion piece. Hey, this is my opinion. You know, this is what my piece is. It's based on opinion. And then we go from there. But you don't put down facts as your opinion. You know, your opinion are not the facts to relate to. And this is what this person's doing. We haven't had integrity in forever, right? All we do is clickbait. And clickbait is not a bad thing as long as you get to what you baited them with, the actual facts, the facts of the story. That's why these articles are supposed to have something to intrigue you to look at it and read what they're about. But they don't do that. It's a bait and switch is what they're doing with their clickbait. It's not the same. You know, it's no longer this, and it's all opinions. So this is the whole journalistic part of it. Now, Halo, we need to do more with Halo. You know, we have always talked about expanding lore. We talked about Halo horror. They did have in which one was, I think it was Halo 2. We had the rat races. Well, we would run, you know, we literally, it was part of the game that we would run races on certain levels. So why can't we have stuff like that? You know, why can't we expand it with more stuff? We did ODST where we were not Master Chief, and I know a lot of people didn't like that at first, but come to find out, a lot of people in the end liked it. Still, some people that don't like it regardless, but it expands the lore. It gives you another outlook of it, you know. And we were talking about the human side of it as being invaded, you know, not ODST, but just an actual human trying to figure out, you know, trying to save your family, trying to do all this, you know. Why not? Why not do something else? And then
different perspectives,
yes,
and different ways to tell a story that has lore for weeks, dude. Like the Halo lore that is available at anyone's fingertips is so extensive, dude.
They've got so many books to reference.
Yes.
You know, and we're doing it with the armor. Okay, that's great. But let's do it with more than that. Let's do the storylines. That's why I said Halo Wars was great, because it it brought back to the original design that they were going to do, but it expanded the lore. And what did we get with Halo Infinite? Oh, you know, it goes from there. But when I did interview Steve Downs, you know, I tried to get him to like give us a hint, but Halo Infinite is basically a platform. It's a platform just like Disney Infinity was, where you could expand and add to the main base. You know, same thing they did with the DLC for God of War Ragnarok. Yeah, it was DLC, but they turned it into a standalone. They added more to it, you know, and that's the whole thing. It was you're able to expand and produce more content faster because it's based on the main thing. You're not designing a whole new engine. You're not designing a whole new setup for this game. It's all based on this, and you just keep on adding stuff to it. That was the whole thing. And at first, I wasn't too sure about how to do the Halo multiplayer and it being separate. But I actually think it's a good thing. Keep it separate. Do the Fortnite thing with it. It doesn't have to be as ecstatic and sporadic as they do with outside IPs. They can do everything on the inside. You know, anything that's like we discussed, Fable, Doom Guy. You know what I mean? Gears. any of those, just make it haloized. And so that way it references. It doesn't have to be an actual Gears outfit. Just make it kind of look like it to reference it. And that's it. That's all you need. Because I know Crispy would be all about it regardless. Even if it wasn't authentic Gears, it's about Gears. He would wear that, and that's what I would do. I mean, that's what I've done. That's how it needs to be, and then think about this. Remember, you were talking about Mortal Kombat, and you guys were talking about all the monsters and the creatures, and when you said Predator, I was like, oh shit, it's late enough I can say shit.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
What if we use the X-ray gun from Perfect Dark Zero in Perfect Dark, right?
Dude, there's so many different things they could do.
And there's your Predator mode right there. I mean, it's not like you're taking from Predator. You're saying, hey, I took it from Perfect Dark, which you can correlate the similarities, but anything can be similar to something else, even that has nothing to do with it. But that stuff like that, you add these things. What happened to zombie mode, right? We used to play that way back in the day, and as soon as you got killed, you had to go back in, change your color. Now you don't have to do it. It's part of the game. It's already added to it, and that they've done these modes and these special things from Forge. So we need to do more like that, well, at least they do. And it sucks to see that people are losing their jobs, but unfortunately, this is corporate. They have to cut numbers. They haven't done anything like that in forever. But I mean, they do it, and they don't do it because they don't like somebody. If you're a bad performer, they would do it regardless. It wasn't about that. It's just, what are your numbers? Who's doing the best? Who can we keep? And it's unfortunate we're gonna have to let everybody else go. But they're not just saying you're fired, see ya. They're giving them a severance
everyone's
package.
getting a severance package.
They're working with them to give them a gold stamp saying, hey, this person's good. This is their qualifications. This is what we had them do. Obviously, it correlates with what they said that they've done. Hire them. Jason Sath did the same thing. He's like, hey, anybody DM me if you have a question about any employee that you're looking to hire.
Yep.
But, you can't. I mean, this was bound to happen, and this was going to happen regardless before or after the Activision deal, if it ever happens. I mean, we've already had 3-4 companies doing this now. Amazon.
There's some people
Facebook.
dread trying to correlate the one with the other. Honestly, folks, I again, I'm not a corporate manager. I don't know, but I can say that just with the knowledge that I do have, this literally does not have anything to do with the potential of 10,000 employees coming into the fold under Microsoft. This is something that's happening, worldwide with other. If it was just Microsoft, then you could be like, look, point the finger. I mean, you just heard it. Dreadpool say it. All of these tech industry giants are letting a lot of people.
We had
go.
it happen in my industry too.
Yeah.
And I did talk to my boss trying to figure out how I stayed on, because I kept on getting bad jobs, but other people had, better, more certificates, more, how would you say, they were a higher level than I was.
Yeah.
At the time,
more qualifications,
more certificates, more, just everything. And they got canned, but what it was the bosses said, hey, we got to start cutting the chaff here. We just got to figure out what's going on, do the numbers. 3 months later, do the numbers again, verify that these are the numbers. So they knew 6 months in advance. So something this big was known for like at least 2 years for something this big, and obviously they had to get through production of Halo. They had to get through some of these games. They had to get through some of these acquisitions, but at the same time, they were looking at those numbers. So it wasn't like they just said, you know what, we're going to do this tomorrow. Let's let everybody go. They've been doing this for a while now, trying to figure out who to keep, how to do what. I mean, we already talked about what's her face from Halo, from 343 that just left.
Bonnie Ross.
Bonnie Ross, yeah. She was doing 3 positions. She was doing She was doing 3 positions. So as somebody leaves, they'll figure out what's going on, because little by little, what they do is you take on somebody else's role. Well, now you're still getting paid the same amount for 2 roles. She ended up doing 3.
Yeah.
Right. So now, even with that, what's going on is they're going to fill in these roles as people are leaving too. So that people will move up, people will move out. This is part of corporate world, and it's unfortunate, but at least they're getting help ahead of time because
Yeah.
they're not leaving tomorrow. They're leaving March, the end of March.
Yeah, March, and then from there, from again, this is pretty. I think it's standard fare. What's they get they'll be paid a lump sum for every year that they were there. It's a certain subset of money. From what I understand, again, this was explained to me. Their benefits package, their medical, which of course is incredibly important, is going to be paid for 6 months after they leave, while they are looking for another position.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So try not to look at the negative about it. Yeah, it's sad, but look at the positive and try to help out those people.
Yeah.
That's really where we need to concentrate. We need to concentrate on getting those people back onto the employment field and doing what they love. Let's not bad Microsoft. It's
just bad everybody.
It's
but
business.
It's
unfortunately it sounds bad to say it like that. It sounds like you don't have a heart, but there's nothing you can do about that. That's something that's going to happen regardless. However, if you do have a heart, this is where you step in and try to find these creators, these artists, these programmers, and anybody that lost their position to find a new place, a new home that they can grow with.
Yep.
That's where we need to be. Yet again, share the hobby in a positive light. How do we do that? We talk about good things. We are strict about what is going on that's bad, that needs to be corrected. This is something you can't correct. So let's move on, and no unsolicited pics. But let's move on it. We need to go. So
is it possible to unsend the pic after I've sent it, or? Oops.
Shame on you, sir.
They work for the PlayStation guys. They got the release date.
It's true. It's definitely true. But listen,
maybe
ladies and gentlemen,
photo negative.
Yeah. Shout out to a crazy Greek dude. I know I try to reach out to and say hello to everybody and welcome you. I didn't get a chance to do him. Tony C, what's up, brother? Thank you for being here. Destro 39, what's going on, brother? Welcome. Real quick, again, I just dropped Dreadpool's YouTube channel. Please click it, subscribe. Dreadpool, you are currently up to 846 as of the sub that you just got. He's on the hunt for 1K, folks, and he is 154 away from that. So
I just looked at 36, and you said 46. I was
it's 46 now. Yes,
no, it's 46. Holy cow!
846. So do me a favor, folks. Trust me when I tell you. Not only is he a member, he's a good friend. He works real hard on his stuff. Get over there and subscribe to Dreadpool. I made it super easy. It's right there. All you gotta do is hit the link twice, 2 clicks. Click on it and click subscribe. And if you want to be a true friend, a true hero, you click the bell icon that you can find it. Dreadpool, I'm gonna read your stuff so they can go. Even though I've made it easy for them, I'm making it even easier. You can find Dreadpool at all of these different locations. Super easy to find. Let me just take off that banner so you can see it. Linktree.com/Dreadpool, YouTube.com/Dreadpool, Twitter @Dreadpool, TikTok @Dreadpool, HoverGG/Dreadpool. He's also a panel member on Wilmy Hood's weekly podcast on Sundays at 7 p.m. called Gaming Beyond the Box. And obviously, he'll be back here next week. Sell your brand, Dreadpool.
I got to think every 46. So that would be.
It's almost 50 you got today, brother.
There's almost 50, literally almost 50 of you guys. Yeah. I really appreciate it. I mean,
well deserved, my brother. Well deserved.
The highlight earlier this year was almost getting there and missing it, but I ended up getting an Insta 360 affiliate partnership because of the 360 videos I've been doing and using the camera in different ways.
Good stuff, man.
So I mean, I'm starting to be lost for words, but I thank you guys.
858, brother. You got keep going up. Keep going. Keep on. There you go.
But yeah, I really appreciate One Bad Mother for stopping in. Infinite Umbra and Crispy, both of you also awesome. And then obviously my panel family, Fuzzy, Web Dave, and you, Boom. I mean, that's just.
Well, we appreciate you being here every week. You know, you work nights, so if you'd be here in the morning, especially 10 o'clock in the morning, that's good stuff, and it's dedication on your part. So thank you so much for that. Infinite Umbra, you got a show tonight, brother. You and your mates got a big panel for tonight. Got a lot of stuff to cover. Talk about it, where they can find you there, where they can reach out to you on social media, and when the H are you going to do your own show?
I'm working on it right now. Speaking of which, I'm trying to learn OBS and such to get things together.
You know what? Try StreamYards, brother. OBS sucks. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It sucks.
Okay. I might stick to that.
It's easy. It's plug and play, and I'm a boob. So if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah, I might have to talk with you on getting some of this promo stuff done. I know you use.
Yeah, I have a couple of artists that will not beat you over the head. Yes, that you could work with that will do the right thing by you. Absolutely. We'll talk.
Yeah, I got the guy who's doing my intro, so that should be done next month. So I'm trying to start it soon. But yeah, just want to say thanks for having me, coming in, being among these great gentlemen here. Absolutely love it. Thank you guys for your great takes too, and of course to the chat, lovely people. All respect and love to you guys. What's up, Silent Cypher? I see you, brother. Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, of course, on under Umber Infinite or Infinite Umber. You'll find me either way. And of course, tonight you can find me on the Xbox Infinite podcast at 7 o'clock Central, Eastern. And we have the luxurious, elusive guest. One Bad Mother is actually joining us tonight.
It's good, man. That's good stuff.
So
no one. Oh yeah, Dreadpool. Oh yeah, Dreadpool 861. Keep going.
Nice. Yeah, so yeah, you guys come by and say hi to us tonight if you can.
Yes, that's 7 p.m. or 8 p.m.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, that's going to be a good show because Riskit was trying to be here because Riskit, he wears it on his sleeve, he has a lot to say about the journalists that attacked Phil publicly, and he has a lot to say about Halo. Tune in tonight. Don't miss the Xbox Infinite podcast.
It's going to be a good one too.
It's going to be a good one tonight. Yeah, it's going to be
kind of a bit of a battle between myself, Riskit, and OBM. So I'll let you guys see it when you get there. I don't want to say anything right now.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's a lot of personality. Oh, Jason Redmond drops a very generous $10 super chat, and he says Halo Infinite 10 out of 10 indeed.
There's one more before that.
Oh, that was there. Okay, let me catch up with that.
Blade.
Yes, Raiden Blade. Hey, what's up, dude? Thank you so much for being here. And of course, thank you for the outstanding generosity as always. He drops a very generous £2 super chat and says, why are we paying attention to Ratman? Just block him. Yeah, just block and move on. But it is what it is.
Ratman.
Yeah. But Infinite, thanks so much for jumping in, brother. Definitely super appreciate it. Crispy Bomb. What's going on, brother? Thank you so much for popping in. So we never know when we're going to get a Crispy. When he jumps into the chat on he always shows up for the hot topic conversations. And here he is. Thank you so much for being here, Crispy. Sell your brand, brother. Where can people reach out to you on social media? But more importantly, where can they find you in other shows?
Can we get Brother Dread to 900 subs?
I think we can. We still got 304 people here. I don't see why not.
I think we can. So let's do it for Brother Dread. Of course, shout out to the chat. Shout out to you, gentlemen. At Chris Bomb on Twitter, Chris Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You find me at Retro Renegades Tuesday night, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Wednesday, primetime gaming. Of course, on the next podcast, Thursday, 8 p.m. And maybe back here. You just never know. I mean, the days off have come, and I might be back here. So we'll see you then.
Thank you so much for that, brother. Definitely appreciate it. Web Dave, sell your brand, brother. Talk about where can people check out one of the best one-on-one interview shows on YouTube. You got a big one coming up. Can't wait for everyone to check out what we know behind the scenes. Talk about it.
Thanks, Boom. Appreciate you letting me on here today, man. I love the chat. Love all the panel members here are all amazing content, and every single one of these guys have an interview you can watch right now.
Yep.
At Outbreak Gamers in YouTube, and I want to have coming up on Monday is going to be with the senior game designer for Brassline Entertainment, which is Elaine Gomez Sanchez. She is absolutely amazing, and you'll find out a whole bunch of behind the scenes of what it takes to be a game designer. It's pretty awesome. Thanks.
No problem. And Fuzzy Belvedere, last and no way least, the best place to get all of your racing information on his website and YouTube channel. Talk about it, brother. Where can people check that out? And more importantly, check you out on social media.
Well, it was awesome being on here with you guys. Such a great group to chat up all these news topics and things along those lines. Always love being here on Fridays with you guys, as well as our special guest, One Bad Mother, Infinite Umbra, and well, Crispy. You're pretty much a returning panel member, so it's always great to have you in the mornings as well. And like I said, it's always great to be here on with Dave and with Dreadpool and Boom. For anybody that just wants to hear my ramblings on anything gaming related, particularly with Forza coming up and some videos for Forza Motorsport in the pipeline, just follow me on Twitter or any social media at Fuzzy_Belvedere. Look forward to seeing you guys here on Breakfast with Boom, 10 p.m. Or 10 a.m. Next Friday morning. Hope to see you guys there.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for Breakfast with Boom. Hopefully you have an amazing weekend. Enjoy gaming on any console you enjoy gaming on. A big shout out to all the super chats that continue to come in. Those are going to help power our massive giveaways for 2023. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.